Are WWE removing a Judgment Day member? We'll talk about it. Plus, scrapped plans for Kenny Omega's TNA run, and The Undertaker is interviewing Donald Trump. It's all of the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. Is it Judgment Day for a member of the Judgment Day, Andrew?
Oh, well, let's have a look, shall we? So, as revealed by WrestleVotes, a Judgment Day member could be getting shown the door very soon. They say with the addition of Raquel Rodriguez to the Judgment Day, it started to get a little bit bloated. So, I think you're going to see Carlito here in the next couple of weeks give the Judgment Day a reason to want to excommunicate him from the group, and I think he deserves a single run. I'd expect by the end of the year, maybe there's a singles run by Carlito in the fold, but we do know that those plans have been discussed to separate him from the Judgment Day.
Now, I have always said I don't think Carlito is a great fit for the Judgment Day. And that's not, I think that's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I like the idea of him breaking away.
Yeah, me too. I feel like sort of since joining, Carlito's definitely been sort of like the comedic aspect of the Judgment Day, even though the group themselves have had sort of like, you know, a little bit of silliness undertones to them. But I think now that with Damien and Rhea gone from that group and Finn sort of doing this more sort of serious character, I feel like that's the direction maybe the Judgment Day are going in, and maybe Carlito doesn't fit within that more now more than ever at least anyway. So him breaking away, I can definitely see that happening for sure.
See him going on Carlito's way and maybe a babyface run, then a heel run, because he can do both.
Oh, he's good at both. Well, he's good at his job, isn't he?
He's good at his job.
So I would like to see both, because don't we love it when he just bites the apple and spits it in people's face? We love that so much.
That is timeless.
It is timeless.
You tell me you've not bit into an apple and wanting to spit it in someone's face. Especially people who don't want to be cool.
That's where it's at.
You know. And
play the wash, like the it's not a washboard. I can't remember what the instrument
is.
Is it a washboard? It's like a I can't remember. It's like a wooden block thing. I can't remember.
It's them.
It's cool.
It's one of them, yeah. But there's two types of people who don't want to be cool and liars. And you know which one you are. So this weekend, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling is born. Their first show, forged in excellence, emanates from St. Clair's College in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. It's the new project from Scott D'Amore, and he has been on the interview rounds this week. He had a chat with Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful and gave a little detail about something that we could have seen Kenny Omega do in Impact Wrestling / TNA. It turns out that when Kenny Omega came to Impact Wrestling, Scott D'Amore says there was a rise in TV viewership, pay-per-view buys, social media engagement. Economically, there was a rise as well. But Scott also mentioned that Omega was in a lot of physical pain by the time all this was going on. But despite that, Omega made it impactful, pun intended. He also says Kenny Omega also wanted to work in Impact Wrestling with Eddie Edwards and Josh Alexander. But those matches did not take place because of certain restraints, and that's one of the reasons why the relationship between Impact and AEW came to an end. Now, I was really sad to see that come to an end, because it was great to see, especially during the pandemic when there were so many limitations on everything. It was great to see a real wrestling what if in front of our very eyes.
Yeah, for sure. And it felt like sort of around that time, before things were shutting down, Impact was really starting to get sort of the wind back in their sails again. And then when the pandemic started happening, it's like, oh no, we don't want to like have this quashed and not have this momentum gained. And I think Kenny and AEW like added so much to that as well. Like when Kenny Omega turned up, he's got all the belts and everything. Oh my God, it's so cool. And I mean, just like the tantalizing prospect of seeing Josh Alexander, who was like really on the rise at the time within TNA as well, and Kenny Omega coming together. Oh, that would have been so good. But who's to say that won't happen again sometime in the future? Who knows?
You never know. Now, Scott D'Amore left TNA Wrestling at the start of this year and has since formed Maple Leaf Pro. It's a wrestling promotion identity that goes back to the 30s that is coming back in a big way, guided by Scott D'Amore. This weekend, they have their first ever shows, Forged in Excellence, that will feature TNA talent, including the X Division champion Speedball Mike Bailey and the aforementioned Josh Alexander. So the question is, Was that a difficult thing to get across the line? You know, because Scott's been removed from his role in TNA,
Yes.
and now he's looking to hire talent from the company he used to work for. Well, that's a question that I put to Scott D'Amore, and you can hear his answer right now on the Cultaholic podcast feed. And if you are a Patreon, you can watch the video version as well. Plus, if you want to watch this weekend's Forged in Excellence, a show that's going to feature Josh Alexander versus Takeshita for the AEW International title.
I was excited.
Speedball Mike Bailey and Takeshita on night 1. Athena defending the Ring of Honor Women's Championship against Giselle Shaw. And also the commentary return of Mara Ranallo.
I just grew warm inside. My heart is full once again, Tom.
It's going to be on Triller all this weekend, and we would love you to watch it on us to win a pass for the entire weekend to watch Forged in Excellence on Triller. Go to cultaholic.com right now, and best of luck. A star from TNA giving us an update on their injury rehabilitation now.
Yeah, Steph DeLander shared some hospital selfies. I can't believe you put this in there.
Well, it's just what happened.
It's what happened, including one with her bottom out as well, of
there
course.
It is. Happy days.
She accompanied it with the caption, "I slipped the surgeon some extra cash under the table and told him to give me a BBL. Not really, but I do have a fresh neck and a bowl of mashed potatoes. What a gal. That's brilliant.
I love Steph DeLander. Yeah, she announced on TNA recently that she was off to have neck surgery. She has now had the surgery, all complete. Recovery road begins. Get Steph DeLander back at full health, and she's going to take over the world.
Absolutely.
Big fan of what Steph DeLander does. All the very best. This week, WWE have been in and around the UK. They've been to Cardiff. They've been to Birmingham. They've been to Liverpool. They've been to Newcastle. And they were in Manchester at the Co-op Live. And it was there we saw a pre-Crown Jewel showdown between WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, World Heavyweight Champion Gunther, and a special appearance by the interim UFC Heavyweight Champion, Manchester's own Tom Aspinall. Look at these three boys together with their big boys, with their big old belts. This was a nice pop to see for Tom back home, who tried to get them to fight that there and then.
Oh, you naughty boy.
He's got the fight in him. Speaking to the papers in the UK after his appearance, Tom Aspinall confirmed that he'd love a run as a pro wrestler, saying that when he retires from MMA, he's going to switch to WWE and become heavyweight champion.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I imagine we will see a lot more of these crossovers happen. With the merger and everything, it feels like it's a given, doesn't it?
I'm surprised we haven't seen more up until now.
That's a good point, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I was expecting more by this point, but we will no doubt get more. Here's a crossover that has surprised us all today. Who's the next guest on the Undertaker's 6 Feet Under podcast?
Well, this comes from Worked Wrestling, who say Donald Trump is expected to be on the Undertaker's podcast 6 Feet Under this week.
Now, obviously, the presidential election is rumbling on, and it's always interesting when you have these moments how people put themselves out into the public. And I don't think it's as straightforward anymore as just doing news interviews.
I mean, the biggest platforms, aren't they? The like your YouTubes, the podcast platforms, as you say. I feel like that's where you get a lot of audiences now, and it just feels like, you know, the right place for a lot of these people to sort of infiltrate and talk to people. Yeah,
Donald Trump did Logan Paul's show,
yeah,
and so what him and the Undertaker going to talk about?
I don't know. WrestleMania?
I think, they'll probably talk about their favorite WrestleMania moments.
Well, I guess technically, does Trump have a undefeated WrestleMania streak?
I think Trump does have a streak at WrestleMania.
His hasn't been broken yet.
No, he doesn't.
Taker's husband.
He does. I think with thanks to Vince McMahon, he now took the second worst stunner in history at WrestleMania. Yeah. I think Vince just pipped him to the post a couple of years back as well. I presume off the back of this, you know, since Donald Trump is doing 6 Feet Under, I know maybe Kamala Harris will do Hot Ones. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Maybe. Or which other wrestler podcast? Do you know what? Let's get Kamala Harris on What Happened Wednesdays with Tony Schiavone.
There you go.
And Conrad Thompson. Talk about an obscure episode of Nitro. That's how we will do it. For the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out Cultaholic.com. Keith.
Love you, bye.